Hi everybody, and welcome to Microsoft Outlook. Microsoft Outlook is an information management system. You might think of it as being something that you go to for your email or to make appointments or meetings on, and you're right in thinking that. Where the problem lies is that people take it so lightly that they don't realize that there's a powerhouse of features built into this program. So, of course, we have the email, we have the calendar, but we also have a contact database. They call it the people. We also have tasks. We have notes. But what's really cool about the whole thing is that there is so much, as I said before, so much power behind this program that there's a lot of features that most people don't even realize they have. And these are features that can really help you manage your email, manage your life, manage your calendar, manage everything that you do. So the whole series of videos that you're about to watch are going to be focusing on different areas of the program and how to work those areas to their full potential so that you can get a lot out of it and really kind of get a handle on your life. All right? So without further ado, I want to first of all talk about personalizing the environment, making Outlook friendly and peaceful and whatever you want to make it, but to get it to a point where you feel comfortable using it. So what I'm going to do first of all is we're going to go into the options area for the mail options, and we're going to talk about a few of these things that you can actually change. So we're going to start out first of all, well, once you've gotten into the program, it'll pretty much come up like this. It's either going to come up looking like this or it'll look like something like that. All right, but either way, once you're in the program, we'll go ahead and we'll click on to File, and we'll go down here to Options. Oh my God, that was me, by the way. So one of the things you can do, and this is a real simple thing here, you'll notice the background of the program. You have some little graphic or whatever in there, and there's a particular color that you have. While you're in the General tab, you can actually go here into this Personalize Your Copy, and over here where it says Office Background, I've got this thing set up for school supplies. I thought that kind of made sense. And you can actually click onto that, and you've got a number of other types of graphics that you can go with. So that's how you change that part if you didn't like what you saw there. And then the other thing is the coloring. Many of us are disappointed in the amount of coloring that we can do. They call it the office theme, but the type of colors that you have. So when you click onto that, you have dark gray, black, white. All right, that's it. It's kind of amazing given the fact that as far as the background goes, they give you a whole heck of a lot more. But when it comes to the theme, that's all you have. So if we went, let's say, with the dark gray, let's say, right? And you go ahead and hit OK on that, that's what it's going to look like. All right. If you've kind of been brought up where your screen has always been kind of a white or kind of a gray kind of look to it, this might be something that you'd like to have. It does do a lot of contrast. It does kind of make your eyeballs kind of focus in on things, but it's up to you what you want to do. I'm not going to go with this one. Now, if I go back in there, go back into options again, and I change that from dark gray to black. All right, hit OK on that. That's even more contrasting, but still things really kind of jump out. Keep in mind when you're changing these things here in Outlook, all your other Office programs will also take on the same graphic and the same coloring as well, just so you know. I'm going to go back into File, go back into Options, and change that from black now to white, and you can see what white looks like. All right, kind of blinding, okay, but that's your white. All right, and then we're just going to go back to the original that I had picked already, and that will be just the one called colorful. All right, so you do colorful, hit OK, we're back to that again. All right. That wasn't the main reason for me taking you into this area to kind of show you how to personalize things, but that's one of them. Now, the other area we're going to go into is in the mail, okay? And in the first part here, it talks about how you want to compose your messages. Now, right now, you're composing in the HTML type format, kind of like a web page. This is what gives you the capability of having, wonderful fonts and large and small fonts and pictures and graphics and what have you in your email message, because of the fact that your email message is like a web page. I don't think you'd want to change that, but you could go in there, click onto that, and say, I just want to go with plain text. Back in 20 years ago, and with email, where it was just plain old text. And if that's what you want, go for it. But I don't think you really need it. It used to be where not a lot of the email programs would read the HTML, and your messages would be really nasty looking when they received them at that end. Now it's to a point where pretty much every email program out there is HTML, so I would keep that there. The other thing is that if you want to be able to have your email message spell checked, you can go ahead, and you want that automatically done before you send it, you can actually have on here, always check spelling before sending. The problem with this is that if you do that, then, especially when you're replying to messages, it'll start trying to spell check the replied message from the sender as well. And if there's a lot of typos in that, then you're going to be going through it over and over and over again, running through all the mistakes. So I would probably just not even worry about that, because of the fact that as you're typing, if you've noticed in this program, or maybe even if you've been in like Microsoft Word or something, as you type, if you make mistakes, if you make spelling mistakes, or you make grammatical type errors, usually it'll underline it in some color like red or blue or whatever, and you're kind of signaled that, hey, there's something wrong here, and you can fix it that way. So I don't think it's a real big deal. Now, another area we have has to do with signatures. Now, if you're using your current Outlook program and you're getting a signature automatically going at the bottom of whatever you're typing in as a new message, then you've already got this set up. If for some reason you don't like that signature, and you maybe like to come up with a different one, or you just want to turn it off altogether, you can actually go into this area and make that change. Now what we'll do is we'll click on the signatures here, all right? This will come up, and as you can see, I have a signature here now. I just called it general, but I've got it where it doesn't go in automatically, so I have to actually insert it every time that I want to have it. If I go over here and where it says new message, if I click onto here and specify the signature that I want to have come up automatically, then as I do a new message, this will come in, having that turned on like that. Now, on the other hand, if you say, well, I don't want a signature at all, well, that's probably now, you're probably, if you're in this on your own program, you'd see your signature down here. It'd be called whatever, and you might say, well, I don't even want it. I don't want a signature. Well, then what you could do is just go back over here and say none, and then that's not going to come up each time. Now, if you don't have a signature or just want to have a new one, all you have to do is, while you're in here, you click on a new, right there. We give it a name. We'll call it, I'll just call it number 1, and hit OK. And there it goes. See, so now I'm on that one. This is completely blank down here. There's the original one. Now that's the new one that we're doing. And you could go down here and you could just type in, oh, I can't even type here. Okay, sincerely yours, comma. And you could say, something like that. All right, I'm just keeping it simple. You can come up with your own stuff. The other thought, too, is if you're sitting there saying, well, I actually have a signature already that maybe I did in another email, you can actually open up that email, all right, select that whole signature area. It might be like maybe even a closing line, like saying something like, hey, if you've got any other questions, whatever, give me a call, or give us write us back, whatever. Sincerely yours, blah, 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 and you've got phone numbers and you've got your logo and everything in there. You could select that in the email, right click it and hit copy, and then jump back into here and get down in this area and just do a right click and paste it in, all right? And that will come in, it'll look great. And then if you want to make sure that that this particular one ends up coming up automatically when you create a new email, then you go over here and you click onto that and say, I want number 1 to come up each time, see? So that's how that works, but I'm not going to do any of them, but you get the idea. And then once you've done all this, you just go ahead and hit OK, and you're done with that. Now the other thing we have in here is this thing with the stationery and fonts. I want to click onto that, all right? And it's actually kind of funny because the email signature's on that one. We got this one here. So really, whether you go here or here, you're going to get the two same things. It's kind of a goofy thing. Anyway, so what we have here is the ability to change the font, okay? I'm kind of bored when I'm doing emails where I don't have any style because of the fact that it's just a plain old, just plain old text that usually will come in. So what I can do is I can tell it on new email messages I want a certain font, certain size, and so forth. So I can go over here, click on the font. I can find the font that I want. I like the Papyrus one. It's pretty cool. And you can also tell if you want to make it bold, tell the size that you want it to be. If you want to go with the color as well, you can actually go over here to the font color and change that. Automatic is black, and I'm fine with black. So that's how that changes. Then you go ahead and you'd hit OK, and then that would change for that. And then if you also want to have a font for replies, so let's say you get a message from somebody and then you go to reply to it, and you want that same font to be used in your reply, then you would change this one here in the same way. That's pretty cool. What happens too is sometimes when you reply to somebody's message and their message isn't in that HTML format, but rather it's just like plain text or what have you, then these fonts won't come in, or this font won't go in there. So what you have to do is on this one here, you'd say, I'll go to font here, and you'd pick a font. So you might say, okay, I'm going to go down here. I'll find my Papyrus here. Oh, there we go. And I'd say I wanted to make it 13. Now, I don't see 13 in there, but what I'll do is I'll go to here and just type in 13, see? And I'm going to leave it as black. And then I hit OK. All right, and there we go on that one. I've never had that set on my machine before because I don't usually get people sending me plain text messages, but now I've got it, all right? Now another thing, just kind of incidental to all this, and I don't know if you've ever seen it, where if you've sent out an email to somebody and you ask them a number of questions in the email in a paragraph or two, what they'll sometimes do is they'll reply to you, and what they'll do is instead of just typing a new message kind of like at the top of all that, they'll actually go into your message in the different spots and start typing in responses to each of your questions, right? Now, so what happens is that you can actually click this and then change this to whatever name you want it to be. And this way what will happen is that if you were to do it yourself, you could actually hit reply, to the message, go down in that body of the email, and then maybe after the first question, you kind of click in there, and as you type, right when you hit the key, whatever you've got here will go in there. So mine just says Chip Desktop, but I could change it to Chip Rose or something like that. Doesn't matter. But that'll go in brackets, and then next to it would be whatever response you want to that question. All right, so that takes care of that part. Now, the other thing that you might want to look at is something called the theme. Now, the theme overrides any of this stuff here. And let me just go and click on it, and you can see this. I'll click there. and it gives me this. So these are different themes. My mom loves this stuff. I mean, every time she sends me an email, it's like, it's got some, funky little background to it, snowman or whatever, and she really likes that. But this has a few of them in here. So if you like to have something like that, being kind of like in the background, so like this one here, this would be when you go to do an email, a new one, you'll have like a brownish background, you'll have this in there, and it's pretty wild. On some email systems, though, if you do this, what'll happen is they'll get it at their end, and it'll be like an attachment. And the attachment will be a graphic, and the graphic would be this background, and so they're not even seeing this. So it's not something that's 100%. All right. Now, whatever you pick, you hit OK. All right. And then if you want to, you can go in here and you can say, well, I don't want to use the theme's font, whatever it happens to be. You can go in here, you can kind of change that to something else if you wanted to. All right. Whatever it might be if you don't like it. So you've got that. I'm not a big fan of this, so I'm not going to leave this on, but just keep that in mind that you can do this. So I can click onto that. I'll just go back to no theme, hit OK, and there we go. And then everything goes back to the way it was there. All right, so we're done with that part. I'm going to just close that up. All right, now a little bit further down. See, a lot of this stuff you wouldn't change here, so you pretty much leave it alone there. One that I've got turned on mine, which I think is pretty cool, is on here it says close the original message window when replying or forwarding. So you know how like when you open up an email, you like double click it, boom, window opens up, and that's the message. And then when you go to hit reply, then another window opens up, for that. Well, that means at the end, then you got to close up, or you got to, when you go to send it, now you got to go and close up that previous window and then move on to the next one. It's just kind of a pain. So I like having this thing checked because when I go ahead and reply to an email, it'll close the original message window. Okay, just a real simple thing. And then as far as saving your messages, like you're in the middle of a message that you're putting together and you decide that you want to work on it later on, when you go to close it, it'll ask if you want to save it, and then it saves it into the drafts folder, this one over here. So I don't think you want to change any of that stuff. This part, as far as send messages, and it's got the importance level and the sensitivity level. I mean, you could go in there and say, I want to make it, high importance, and I want to make it, private or something, or confidential, or whatever like that. That's fine. I mean, but you start sending that kind of stuff out to everybody. Every time you send an email, it's always high, importance level and all that. It's kind of like crying wolf, and people are just going to kind of ignore it. So I would say that I would just pretty much leave all that stuff alone on there. The one thing I do like, and I've got this thing checked on mine, I can't remember if this is a default or not, but the control and enter key, if you hold on the control key and hit the enter key, it is the same thing as you hitting the send button, when you're sending off an email. So it's just a shortcut, and they've got that checked in there. So you might want to turn that one on. That's a good one. We'll look at that later on when we're doing some other videos. And another thing I like is when I send an email to somebody, I want to know that it at least got there. Okay, you know how it is sometimes you have a really important email message and you send it off to somebody, and then you'll like maybe even include in the message, let me know when you get this message, or something like that. Well, to avoid that kind of conversation, what you can do is tell it that you want to deliver a receipt. And the delivery receipt, I don't know if you can see one here. The delivery receipt will be something that looks like this, all right? And it just says that it relayed or it delivered or whatever the message, all right, to whoever it is. And that way, at least it got to their server, and most likely it will get to them, right? There's another choice on here for a read receipt. This is where when you send the message off, when they open it, it will then send you a message back saying that they opened it on such and such date and time. Well, guess what? That's not going to work very well, because in Outlook now, they have the default set to where anytime somebody receives a message with that setting, it will always prompt that person, would you like to send a read receipt back to the sender to let them know when you opened this email and read it, when that was. And a lot of people are kind of put off by that. I'm kind of put off by that. I don't want people to know. It's like, I read it, and that's it. So because of that being set for ask each time, it basically defeats this. All right. So now, on the other hand, if you're sitting there saying, oh no, I'd love it when people know when I've opened up their emails. Well, then what you can do is you can, at your end, tell it to always send a read receipt. So you won't even get a prompt. You'll open up the message and boom, a message will be sent back to them, letting them know that you just opened it up, what date, what time it was, and all that stuff. So just keep that in mind. But I would say, if anything, the delivery receipt's a good thing to turn on. And that's something that can be turned on. If you turn this off, you can turn it on for each individual message. Maybe you don't want it for every message, then turn it off and do it when you're doing the message. And I'll show you how to do that later on. All right. And then the other thing I wanted to show you, I think that was it. Okay, so that's it. So let me go and hit OK on that and get myself back to here. Now, one other minor thing here, and that is down at the bottom. This is what we call the navigation bar, all right? And this allows you to navigate to the different parts of the program. So right now we're in the email portion. We can actually click onto here, okay? And that will take us into the calendar for that one. This will take us into the people, all right? So we got all that in there, right? So, and that's basically your contact database. And then if you click onto here, you can go to other areas. Like, let's say we can go to the task list here, right? So we're going to do that one. We can go back in there and go to notes. If we've got any notes, you can see I don't have much note. And then we can do shortcuts and add-ins. But overall, that's your navigation. Now, what you can do is, if you'd like that to be spelled out, if you'd like, or maybe even rearrange some of these things, what you can actually do is, when you click onto the ellipse here, we have this thing called navigation options, and you click onto that. Now, right now, it's saying that it's showing a maximum of 5. And the problem right now is that the reading pane that we have here, whether you're here with the notes or anywhere else, is taking up a lot of the width here. So this is not going to show very well. But what you can do is you can say, well, I just want to see 3 items, and then have the ellipse. So I can bring this thing down to 3, even though it's already showing that because of it being pushed over like that. Let me, I'll tell you what, let me do something here real quick. Let me get out of that. Go back to the email here. And I'm going to pull this over so a little bit more room there so you can see this. Okay. So there it is, right? So if I click onto that, oh, and my window went off there too. Sorry about that, you guys. How'd that happen? All right. Anyway, so you go in there. There's our navigation options. And I can say, okay, I just want to see the first 3, just 3 of them, right? So the first 3 in this list, right? So if I just do that, hit OK, then it does that for me, right? If I want to see more, I can do that. The other thing you can do in here is you can take off the compact navigation, all right? And by doing that and hitting OK, then these things are spelled out, see? And it won't matter, what the width on this is. This will always be down at the bottom. I think that's kind of a cool, look for it, And the other thing too, which you can do in there as well, is you can rearrange them. So you can take, let's say, people, hit the move up, and now people will be in the middle. Or move down, it goes down there. And then I can also say, well, I want to see this one, and I also want to see notes. I'll bring notes up. So those are like my popular ones that I want to see all the time. So I'll say I want to see 5. And I want compact navigation for now. Okay, so I'll hit OK on that. There we go. And there they are. Okay, so I didn't mean that the video would be that long, but I think these are kind of important things for you to see. So I appreciate you watching the video, and hopefully some of this stuff can help you out, and I'll see you on the next one.